on down to AfterBuzz, gonna talk your favorite show.
Friendly hosts everywhere, humble talks without flirtation.
Going on down to AfterBuzz, gonna see my favorite host.
Ample thoughts day or night, people shouting but never fighting.
Heading on up to AfterBuzz, gonna hope we don't ramble.
We like those with big fat titties, man, I hope this show ain't shitty.
Come on down to AfterBuzz and meet some hosts of mine.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is the South Park After Show, and in honor of Stan's grandfather, I want to introduce you to a song by Rich Banks that I got to know because of Adam Carolla. Take a listen.
Africa's screwed. Why do you still fuck black rabbits? Try coming on the tits.
Very apropos.
Give her boobs a wet white stain. No more sending sacks of grain or mosquito nets. Coming on the tits.
We have Christian Blatt.
This is the theme song from my 20s. Hi, everybody.
I'm going to...
Hold on.
Or instead just finish in her pooper.
I had to get that line in there.
The theme song from Steph's teens.
Yeah.
Steph's a bra.
I'm going to rock my kids to sleep with this song with Newborn.
And I am Phil Svitek. Again, if that song did not make sense to you, then you clearly just did not see this episode,
Yep.
and you're in the wrong show.
No, but thanks for watching us instead of the episode. We appreciate it. You'll figure out what it's about when you just listen to us.
We are talking We Did Not Get Cereal, which is the follow-up to the Cereal one. I forget the original episode, but it is a multi-part episode.
Which there was some question last week, so we immediately got confirmation that this was a continuation, which was good because I had too many questions after last week.
Was it immediately? It was like Tuesday, which was yesterday.
I knew in my heart.
Well, I mean, it's more the general, like, viewers who maybe don't follow the show on Twitter and stuff. You know, somebody who tuned in was like, oh, look, it's definitely part 2. And they were so serial about it.
Fair enough. Well, we've got a jam-packed episode. Speaking of multi-part episodes, in our special segment, we're going to talk about past multi-part episodes and give some of our favorites, so that'll be fun. But overall impressions of the episode.
I really like this episode. I'm really, really happy. I know I told you guys that I needed a sequel to last week, and I think that it did a really good job. I'm so sad Satan died, but I'm so happy he's in heaven. I thought there was a lot of great one-liners, and I thought it was a good storyline overall.
Yeah.
It made me realize, when should I start to worry? And, you know, I don't think I would have been worried yet if I had lived in South Park. But this was a great continuation. I think they actually topped last week's episode. Just there was so much more in there. And like Steph said, the idea that Satan died and then went to heaven, I'm like, well, great. Now show us that. It doesn't have to be next week. It doesn't even have to be next season. But at some point, I want to see that, you know. So don't leave me hanging. Don't leave us Satan fans hanging.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite things in the episode, though, was just how all the kids were crying, like, but no, Satan, you can't die. We need you. He's Satan. And, of course, you know, Steph mentioned all the good one-liners, but Cartman said something along the lines of, yeah, you know, we're pretty much doing your work for you up here. And I thought it was very appropriate. So this was great. There's so much good stuff in this week's episode.
Fair enough. Yeah, I enjoyed the follow-up. I think it was great. I can't believe that they touched on the LA fires as part of what they were...
because they just added fires to Man Bear Pig's mayhem, which there had not been last week.
No, not at all. In fact, you know, as we talk about it, the Satan and Man Bear Pig showdown was more epic than Rampage. I can tell from personal experience because I've seen both. And...
Yeah, I believe your exact words of what we were watching was, this is better than that shitty-ass Rampage movie.
I believe that is the exact quote.
It was like one of the most intense South Park scenes ever. It was really well done.
It was. It was two behemoths just going at it.
Well, Satan didn't stand a chance.
But you would have figured he would because he's Satan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to spoil a Rampage for you right here, right now. If you want to go see that movie, God bless you. But
I think Dwayne The Rock Johnson spoiled it for everyone, so go ahead.
Okay, yeah, because...
I'm glad you like that.
Like, when Satan gets stabbed, that's pretty much what happens in Rampage with, like, the beast we're supposed to love, right? And you think, like, that beast is dead, but the beast comes back alive. So I thought, Satan, for sure, he can't be dead. And then he goes to heaven. I was shocked.
Yeah.
Shocked.
Yeah. I want to see him and Jesus interact again.
You know what? When you made your... So Christian, you said your wish list was to see Satan again.
Yeah.
I would be very curious. I believe in my heart of hearts South Park will be going on for 5 years, and this is a slight prediction, but it would be amazing if 5 years from now this all came back to bite him in the ass.
Because there is a line at the end of the episode. It's like actually kind of over the credits. It's kind of like tagged in there at the end where it's like, yeah, and come back in 5 years, 1,000 times worse is what.
God.
And Stan's like signing that, and Grandpa's there just like, not so easy, is it? Really?
That was a good voiceover.
I don't even think that sounds like his grandpa. It just sounds like a grandpa because I have a cold. So.
Yes. So let's backtrack a bit, though. Let's start with the first question of the night. When is it time to worry?
It looks like Satan is here. Should I start to worry?
There was one of the characters, they gave him a different name, but he looked like Geraldo.
Oh, he was definitely Geraldo. I don't know why they gave him a different name. Probably because they didn't want the headache. Maybe Geraldo has sued them before or something. But you looked at that guy, you're like, that's definitely Geraldo.
Why Geraldo in the first place, even if it was just a parody?
Probably because they just think he's a dick.
Fair enough.
I mean, just look at his body of work. He seems like the kind of guy that Trey and Matt would be like, let's make fun of Geraldo.
Yeah.
All right. And he's a big Trump supporter, right?
Is he?
He was on The Apprentice and loved Trump.
I mean, a lot of people were on The Apprentice who...
And loved Trump?
Yeah.
Omarosa, I guess. Maybe not.
No, maybe not. But she did work for him, so I guess that's close enough. Yeah, so there's something to be said for... I don't think everybody on The Apprentice still loves him. Let's put it that way.
Fair enough. All right, well... What do you guys, just in general, what do you guys think of that running joke of, like, when is it time to start worrying? Because I feel like it's very much a commentary on what's happening, especially the fact that they brought in the fires of LA as part of the backdrop for all of this. Certainly from an LA standpoint, we have shootings, then we have a fire, and from a personal standpoint, on a lot of people that got, like, laid off. So when is it time to start worrying?
Yeah, like when do I start to worry? It's like you can feel empathy for people that are having these problems, but when do I have to worry about it for me? And it's like, this is all pretty close to us, but it's like an hour away. I'm probably all right. But and it's of course a bigger commentary. The whole Man Bear Pig, of course, from going back years ago, is really the idea of global warming. It's like, when do I really need to start worrying? So that does tie into the fact that. You can say that global warming has an impact on wildfires. I don't know enough about it, but I think in his movie, Real Al Gore, serialistly told you that we would get more wildfires. So it's just kind of proving his point. So I think that it works on the local level, but also the global level as well.
Well, I don't know, like, interestingly enough, Arnold Schwarzenegger, one of his commentaries on global warming, he talks about it in the present, like how global warming is affecting us in the present, as opposed to this nebulous thing years down the line. Unfortunately, I don't have like all of his points, but I think that's a smart way to sort of tackle the issue rather than 50 years from now, 200 years from now. We don't even know when from now.
Because it definitely detaches people from the issue. And it's true, like what I think the fires are it is good that they added it in, because although I think the campfire was started from a PG&E pulled, I think, but it wouldn't have burned at the rate it was had it not been for the drought and the massive dry spell that we're in right now, which is obviously a result of global warming.
I think that's the point. Yeah, it's not the causes of them, but just why they proliferate at the rate that they do, yeah.
If only Stan's grandfather had a dry spell for a prolonged period of time. That's a different story, and we'll talk about that.
I did love the talk show. I thought the talk show parody of it was hilarious, because also if you just look at kind of talk shows nowadays and the way the news cycle is working, it's just a bunch of, like telling you what's happening with no solution-based information. They're not real, like it's just like it's just words. Mm-hmm. Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers to everybody. I really think we should all get AK-47s. Then, it's like you got to protect yourself.
And we could shoot the fires. We could shoot the fires. I think that's actually a great idea, Phil. I'm going to go apply for one right now.
Yeah, I think we should make even guns better. You know, like sometimes you don't need a full like bullet. Sometimes like remember super soakers.
Yeah.
So I think we should have guns that double up as that.
Yep. Harpoons.
That way you can kill the bear and drag it back.
Exactly.
Yeah, listen, these are all great things. I'm going to Congress tomorrow. All right, let's talk about Satan's. We made no sort of hidden fact about it that we love Satan last episode. So I wanted to go a little. We've talked a little bit about him, but I want to go a little bit deeper as far as the meaning behind him. Like when you pointed it out, right, Christian? Like we're basically doing Satan's job for him.
Yeah, but I mean, I only pointed it out because Cartman did. You know, it's like we're basically doing things your way up here. That's
So do you disagree with
no,
Cartman's statement?
No. He's right. He's just pointed it out, and then you think about it and you go, oh yeah. There's, you know, I mean, if you want to go for biblical things that we're not supposed to be doing that are widely accepted now, we're doing things Satan's way.
Yeah, all right, interesting. Yeah,
Look, some very progressive ideas are not in the Bible. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm not saying I agree or disagree with them, but you know, the Bible might not want some of the things that we're all okay with. And by we, I just mean the three of us, not the Cartman over there. He's not okay with any of it.
No, Steph, where do you land on this?
Yeah, I agree. I think that they said it for us because I was kind of trying to figure out what Satan's like meaning was in this specific plot line. But it definitely, I mean, even in like biblical terms, that is a good point. Because if we're talking about Satan and hell and heaven, that would have to be involved. But also just like with the school shootings and all of the things that are just happening at an extremely high rate, like never before. I mean, we're still practicing kind of like the same barbaric methods that we did in the beginning of time. So I guess we've always been doing the devil's work.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever stopped really. It's just you know, we're kind of a little bit more below the radar.
Now we
It's
just
on the
have
down low.
technology to do it.
Yeah, it's not on the down low anymore. It's all out in public.
Yeah, I mean, at least back then, like, it was all survivalist for the most part.
Yeah.
Now it's just because we're bored in a sense.
Power hungry.
Yeah, it's like when
true.
you don't need food and water. What else are you gonna do? Then you start to like examine the existence of life and so forth. I think a big part of it that I often wonder about. Sorry to get serial on you guys, but let me see if you guys agree with my serial take. I feel like people are too often worried that if they do anything, that they would negatively affect the world, and so they try to not do anything. But that in itself is destructive because whether it's they're affecting the world or affecting themselves negatively, it just starts to like even if they take themselves out of the equation, they deteriorate, and therefore that leaves only the shit people in the middle, you know, really taking any action.
No, me and Tony, or I think Tony and I were talking about this today. I was talking
Who
to
the hell's
someone
Tony?
about it, like how Tony
the Tiger?
Booth.
They're great. That
have-
Tony, yeah.
Exactly. We have all these people who either are the ones that are like the thoughts and prayers, or the ones that like blowing their opinion everywhere, and then the ones that just want to like sit back because they feel like they can't be beneficial, and then they let the extremists run it, and then it's their agenda, and that's why nothing gets done.
Mm-hmm.
What's your...
No, I think that's pretty much spot on. I think that's really the point. And yeah, people who could get involved in things. Look, it's like we've talked for a few weeks on this show about school shootings because they managed to portray them in a very funny way here, but you can't really stop them. So you could try and get involved, but it's like, what am I going to do? I don't have a vote in Congress. I could call a congressman, but they're not going to listen to me because I don't have as much money as the NRA and lobbyists do. So I'm just going to go ahead and let somebody else do it because I feel like it's like people who don't vote. It's like my vote doesn't matter, you know? So it's like my call to a congressman or woman, a congressperson, Steph, isn't going to make a difference. So
like recycling one thing is not going to make a difference, or not eating red meat is not going to make a difference because everyone else is still eating red meat.
Listen, I'm not suggesting
I'm eating all
it,
the red meat.
but I often wonder, and I'm not suggesting it, not any other, you know, like what if we shut all the gun stores? I'm not saying we should. I'm just saying, what if?
Yeah, Phil, you're definitely not saying that we should. Let's just say that again.
I am definitely not saying that we should blow up all the gun stores. I'm just thinking, what if? I'm not saying we should by any stretch of the imagination. The other thing I wanted to, like, that popped into my mind, this episode is very modern, right? Like, these are modern problems. And Red Dead Redemption 2 is a through line through and through both episodes, like you wouldn't believe. Mm-hmm. And that whole game is just based around the past. Is there any, like, commentary there to be made? Because it's made by Rockstar Games, who made Grand Theft Auto. And maybe having Grand Theft Auto nowadays with everything happening, it's too close to home. So if we set it in the Wild Wild West, it's all good. We're having fun again.
That's a good point.
Well, Phil, what do you think it means when people like Steph say, make America great again?
I would never.
No, please, don't. Let's not pretend.
Well, she would not be suggesting that we blow up gun stores.
No, but she would like things to be more like it was in the Old West. She doesn't want women to be able to vote. Too much responsibility, you know?
Yeah, I get it.
You know,
It's even tough for me as a man.
Yeah, but you have the fortitude to figure it out.
Yes, I do.
No, but seriously, serialistly, I think that, there is definitely something about, getting to be a cowboy and robbing stagecoaches and banks. And, I'm not going to pretend I understand that game. I just hear people talk about it. And mostly on the Howard Stern show, I've heard people talk about it. So really, but I imagine just the amount of time you have to spend, like, they talked about on the show. It's like, that takes 40 hours of gameplay. So you just spend so much time in it. Well, it's better than dealing with real life, because if you click off the game and you look at what's on TV, and like right now, like here, every channel is just fires, and it's like, you can feel terrible about it. But at some point, unless it's like where you have loved ones that live right there, you're probably going to be like, I think I need something else. And what's better than, whether it be Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead? Is it Dead Red or Red Dead?
Red Dead
Redemption. Or even if you're old like me and you want to play Tetris, okay? Any of that. It's just all like, yeah, this is great. This is not any of that. This isn't my personal life problems, and it's also not the big real world problems.
Well, I also think there's a catharticism to it, because you are killing things, stealing, and you're getting out your anger towards the world.
Look, there are people who will say that you get things that happen, like, unfortunately, very specifically the recent shooting, the most recent, at least here, as far as I know, there wasn't another one. They blame first person shooter video games, and I'm not saying one way or the other, because I don't really understand those games, but people will definitely say, like, you spend enough hours playing those games where you're sneaking up on people and shooting on them, it could certainly get in someone's head. So, it's a commentary in that way too, I think.
Yeah. Steph, you haven't said anything yet as far as this.
She's just mad I said that she doesn't want to vote, but, she just wanted to.
No, I'm in agreement with a lot of what Christian was saying, that I think people
That's a
do.
first.
I usually agree with you, except when say that I would say make America great again.
Yeah, because you hate
So
America.
you don't want to make America great again.
Because remember, we've established last season.
No, I want to get better.
We established last season on the show, she hates America.
Listen, I already think America is great.
Yeah, I thought it was great to begin with.
Why not make it
Better.
Yeah, I'm with that. Yeah, that too.
like, okay, all right. So tell us your unpatriotic viewpoint.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, what do the commies think?
What is the question even anymore?
Do you like Red Dead Redemption 2?
What do I think that's I don't know what the commentary on that is. I think it's kind of like Tegrity Farms. Like, it's just kind of funny, but also there is I don't really like the violent games. I really do. I know that there's studies that show that it doesn't desensitize people, but I just don't see how that's possible.
All right, fair enough. Okay, well, let's talk about Al Gore. Al Gore. First, I think the fact that he has a ghost and he's doing all these things,
and
like
he has a mentor who is him.
He's almost like better than David Copperfield.
I love Al Gore. And
Like
I
in real
love
life,
the
or
fact
Yeah, which
that
Al
he
Gore do
had
you
the
love?
ghost and him, and his first introduction in this episode was him as a reflection with the light in the room. I just think he's such a funny character, and that he's been saying it, and kind of that commentary on people who have been warning people, and then there's things like the fires and all these different things that have come about global warming. And feel like we are going crazy because we have been continuously saying that. So I think it's commentary on that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but if you think back to the earlier Man Bear Pig episode, the first one, the idea that it wasn't real, it's because in his movie he said things like Manhattan could be underwater by 2030. And, it's been 13 years since then. And you go okay, you had a really bad Superstorm Sandy, but I don't think Manhattan's going to be underwater in 2030. So it was easy to discount all of what he said because you could pick out a couple of things you're like, yeah, that sounds stupid, And then now you're like, oh, well, you know what? Some of what he said is kind of right.
Florida.
Maybe we should look at Man Bear Pig. So, I mean, it's as this show so often does, it's such a smart commentary on something that if you just watch it, I don't know, if you're an alien and you come down and you watch it for the first time, you don't have the context. You're just like, this is like a stupid show about little kids that's like super violent. I'm so surreal right now.
Yeah. I think part of the commentary, though, in terms of Al Gore, you just saying that is, it's always tough to just tell a plain truth. You always have to heighten it. Yeah. So like all of Manhattan being underwater, it's like, okay, whether or not that's true, you're kind of going to put it out there just to get that sort of reaction.
Yeah, you get people talking about it for sure.
Yeah, like what if we shot all and blew up all the gun stores? Like what?
But again, what if someone else did it and we don't want?
Yeah, listen, I'm not condoning it.
No, we
America's
don't want you to
great
do it.
with guns.
All the scientists and everyone, I feel like they've been saying things like that. And although they seem extreme, like Florida is having to spend millions of dollars building like sort of constructions to keep parts of the city from going under.
Yeah, well, you know what?
Flooding.
If Florida can't figure out how to hold a fucking election, then maybe we should just go ahead and let the water take them away, okay? So, no great loss. Sorry, Sunshine State. We got Disney here. We don't need you.
Yeah, I've only been to Miami. It was okay. All right, let's talk about good old Grandpa. This is where all the trouble started. This to me, like joke for joke, was the best part of the episode. Was Grandpa explaining why he did what he did. And Christian, you have some of these quotes, and Steph, you have some of these quotes. So feel free to jump back and forth.
Well, the first one was when he was just talking about, we didn't want to have to give back all of our cars and premium boutique ice cream. And just sort of talking about how when they were younger, where they lived in Colorado, they just wanted to feel like the rest of the country because it was so small and it was so isolated. And so then they make this deal. Then he starts talking about how they didn't worry about the future because of the fact that he didn't want to have kids, much less grandkids. And he explains, and Steph took really good notes on this too, that was why I always came on Graham's tits. But then there was the day that she stuck her finger in my ass, and then she said, "God damn it, did you come inside me?" Yeah. So, and then that's why you're here, Billy.
And then he said, your father was supposed to be dried up crust on Graham's titties.
Yeah, I had that too, but I really wanted you to say it.
Now, normally Graham, she might lick the asshole or something like that. But this is the first time that she stuck a finger.
You're right. I didn't get that part in there because I was laughing too hard. That was pretty great. Yeah, she might lick it sometimes. That was the first time she used a finger.
I had to have them run it back because I was like, wait, was there a correlation that just happened that I missed because I was so focused on the dialogue happening?
Oh, definitely.
I know, obviously.
Look, Grandpa was being serial in that moment.
Yeah. But I love how he said, we thought we'd be dead by now. We didn't think we'd live to see the consequences, which is basically that entire generation.
Yeah, and it's only going to get worse for us because as the expected age continues to go higher and higher, we're all screwed.
We're all going to live through it.
Yeah. Ay.
Ay, Dios mío.
I have to apologize to my
Anthony?
kids.
Yeah,
sorry.
What is the, do we just keep putting it off? Like, speaking of people who just talk and don't ever come up with solutions, is there a solution?
Yes, there is a ton of solutions.
What's the solution?
Lower your meat intake. The meat industry is one of the #1 causes of carbon emissions. It's
All right,
true.
talk about something important that we can do. Like let's not
Oh
drive.
my God! You can
know,
have
stop trying
meat
to- Yeah.
like twice a week, but if you lower it the rest of the week, you are doing so much good than recycling a piece of plastic. Seriously.
Well, if you put recycling in the recycling bin at the curb, it all goes the same place. They don't actually recycle it.
Yeah, because there's different numbers on them. It's super complicated. That's why I'm saying the meat industry is
have,
where you should go
the
for.
commingled recycling, that's all the bunch of different stuff, is because it's all going in the landfill. It's just to make you feel better. So yeah, I agree that actually doesn't do anything. But not driving as much. I mean, that's a great example.
So playing Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
too.
Yes, you stay inside.
Play
Yes.
and then own Integrity Farms.
Mm-hmm.
Smoke occasionally.
recreationally or medicinally, like I do.
And then gain
I would.
a farm accent all of a sudden. That's how you stop.
I think there you go.
The big point, though, for me in the episode is when it comes down to making the renegotiation with Man Bear Pig. I don't know if we're ready to go on.
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Okay, so I love that. First of all, Man Bear Pig is there in a suit. That's all I needed. That was great. And then they're making the deals and Stan is signing, and then he has to go ask everybody what they think. We have to give up soy sauce and Red Dead Redemption 2. And then the one guy says it. Just plain rice? And he's like, yeah, that's what I thought. And it's funny because this comes right after we were talking about having salad without dressing on it. And Steph could not believe that Phil would have a salad without dressing on it.
I don't get it.
Listen,
would have
rice.
kept-
You can have shrimp fried rice. You can have vegetable fried rice.
Yeah, I'm okay without soy sauce.
There's so many other things you could put Szechuan sauce in it.
Okay, can I just comment how this is exactly... You're a hypocrite because this is the meat thing. Do you know how many meals you can make that
Okay.
don't involve red meat every single meal?
No, I don't.
You
I'm losing.
are the-
I'm losing the argument. What is happening?
Yeah, I'm just gonna put pork in it, so it's fine. All right, I alternate. to
You
the
are
other
the
white
soy
meat.
sauce mofos that refuse just to give up the soy sauce a little bit.
No, I could care less about soy sauce.
But red meat, that's
Is soy
the
sauce a metaphor?
Yes.
Oh, I could give up red meat a little bit.
Yeah, that's
right.
great.
Yeah, you saw me eat one of the most vegan meals
Yeah,
ever, and I
you
know
did.
it seems like we're off track and whatnot, but just
It all
follow
ties
along.
in. No.
It's all a metaphor.
It is.
So the ultimate deal that they make is that Man Bear Pig is going to get all children in third world countries and then come back in 5 years 1,000 times worse. I think that, again, refers to bigger problems, global problems. They don't really call it global warming. It's called climate change now. But obviously, poorer countries are much harder hit by it. And, because they don't have, standards.
Access.
Look, I mean, I've been to China, which, and it's just like, it's just walking around in Beijing, which is like the biggest city there. It's crazy how bad the air is. And, there's no comparison. People think LA has bad air. So anyway, so the point is like, and not that China's a third world country. I know it's a second world country. China. But that's the point, though. Just like, you're just making the deal to have it be somebody else's problem, somebody else geographically, somebody else in the future. So
Yeah.
I thought that was a great little button on the end of the episode.
It wasn't. Obviously, they've kind of dealt with similar solutions. Like, remember when they had the homeless problem? They brought everyone to L.A.
Oh, yeah.
So they're just kind of passing the buck ultimately. Listen, at the end of the day, like, just as a side note, speaking of the L.A. homeless problem, I just want to sit in on these meetings. Like, who thinks of these solutions? Like, the solution we have for L.A., people are living in, like, communes in, like, these wooded areas, so that we're just chopping down trees.
Yeah.
It's like, that is not the solution for these
No.
homeless people.
No. It's because people refuse to actually do the work, and it takes years to actually have solution, but no, everyone wants quick.
What did Giuliani do with the homeless in New York? Whatever that is, that's what we should do. Because when I lived in, New York in the 90s, you didn't see homeless anymore. Now that there's liberals around, no, that's not. But it's true that you didn't used to see homeless people, and now I was in New York a couple weeks ago. Well, they're everywhere. And in LA, I've lived here 15 years. It's like, well, there's a lot more. So what did they used to do? I don't know what the answer is.
Well, there wasn't like rent issues and all these social impacts, school districts. It goes all, I mean, there's so many things.
So you're saying homelessness is a problem?
Absolutely.
Okay. You know what? We're going to agree to disagree on that one, Steph.
All right. Well, we've talked we've said some jokes, but any other jokes from the episode that stand out?
I think I got in all the ones I wanted
Well,
to.
no, you made a good
No,
point
you got to pull
about
out and come on the tits.
Oh. What is? Oh, yeah. Thank you. I'm glad you said that. So there's the moment where they say, "This is pretty fucked up right here," which they used to say in every. I'm glad you reminded me of that. Sorry. They used to say it in every single episode. There was that. Kenny would die. Oh my God, you killed Kenny, you bastard. So there were like a few things that would happen, and I don't know the last time they said this in an episode. I am not smart enough to have done the research, but I'll pretend that I'll try for next week, and then no. But so I thought it was a nice callback, because it was pretty fucked up right there. But yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that they went to the school to be safe, which was the running joke that schools are now the only safe place from school shootings. Yeah. Anything for you that was?
No, we said it all.
We said it all.
Graham's tits was my fave.
Dude, who doesn't like Graham's tits?
I know I asked you to do something like this last week, but Anthony, if you could isolate that, that'd be great. Thanks.
All right. So, without further ado, let's talk about... Steph's going to give us a whole lineup of all the South Park multi-episode story arcs.
Yep.
Now, we're not counting the past couple seasons where it was like an all-season story arc. So we're just doing kind of two-parters or trilogies, things along those lines. So she's going to give us like a rundown of everything, and then Christian and I will give our favorites.
Yep. Okay, so to start off, the Ad Trilogy, this was season 19. So this had PC Principle, Final Justice, Sponsored Content, and Truth in Advertising. It was a story arc that ended the finale of season 19, and it was a parody of online advertising, native advertising, clickbaits, artificial intelligence, and then that whole season was based on political correctness. And basically, Jimmy is sent to the principal's office because he uses the word retarded in his newspaper, and PC Principal is just like, no, this can't happen. And then Jimmy went back and wrote a piece basically calling PC Principal discriminatory against people with disabilities. So it was a really funny episode, and we thought like PC Principal was going to be fired. It was going to be the end of him.
Yeah, because he was discriminating.
Yeah.
Good.
He had to check his privilege.
He did.
But I think he did.
He did. And the little girl was an ad. Remember that?
Yeah.
That was great.
All right.
That's probably not one of my favorites. Spoiler.
No, it wasn't.
It's good. It's good. It's just like, there's so many better.
This one was great. The Black Friday trilogy, season 17. So we have Black Friday, A Song of Ass and Fire, Titties and Dragons. Throughout these trilogies, the episode titles are so amazing. It's one of my favorite things about South Park is the titles, actually. So with this one, we had a lot of Game of Thrones, and obviously Black Friday. Randy decides that the whole town is psycho for Black Friday, and the Elmo is coming out.
Stop tickling me, Elmo.
Stop touching me, Elmo.
Stop touching me, Elmo. Randy decides the best way to get into the mall first is to become a mall security guard. So, and actually this episode, Black Friday, was submitted for and received the nomination for a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Animated Program for less than an hour. So I loved this one. And the biggest play with the kids was Sony versus PlayStation, or Sony versus Xbox, PlayStation versus Xbox. And then we ended, the best was with Princess Kenny, but yeah, I forget the name. I love that trilogy though.
Very good trilogy. As Black Friday just kept getting moved back, that was the commentary on Game of Thrones. It was, the dragons are coming.
Yeah.
They're coming.
Cartman's fatherly quadrilogy, in Phil's words. This
is the internet's words, by the way.
And this was multi-season, and this I just have to read some of the description. So it had Cartman's mom is a dirty slut, and then Cartman's mom is still a dirty slut.
As she normally is.
So the whole gag is, who is Cartman's father? Cartman asks his mom who his father is. She says she met him 8 years earlier at the 12th annual drunken barn dance. The problem, as Cartman soon discovers, is that his mother seems to have slept with quite a few people that night, including Chef and Mr. Garrison. Dr. Mephisto says that he can do a DNA test to find out among the many candidates who's Cartman's real dad, but it'll cost $3,000. And then that show ends with a teaser saying the answer will come next episode. And this is when we had
April Fools.
Yep.
Terrence and Phillip, not without my anus, which infuriated people so much, and Trey and Matt just were baffled that people gave a shit that much. They thought it was funny, and people hate that episode. It's one of the best episodes of the show, Not Without My Anus.
We loved it.
All of the Terrence and Phillip stuff that I love is we see first in that episode.
And then this one I have to spend some time on because it's such a great kick. So basically they're waiting for the DNA test results in the second episode, and he gets shot twice, Dr. Mephisto. So he's unconscious, and they can't reveal the identity of Cartman's father. And a lot of people show up, and then they find out that Eric's mom is a hermaphrodite with both male and female genitals. She impregnated another woman, raising the question of who Cartman's mother might be. Cartman, disgusted, drops the matter. So epic.
It was a little bit of a cop-out.
Yeah, that's true. Do the handicapped go to hell duology? And this was do the handicapped go to hell? And then the second follow-up was probably. This is when the kids start taking Sunday school classes, and Father Maxie basically tells them that they have to confess their sins, and Timmy can't get into heaven because he's physically unable to confess his sins, and Kyle won't be allowed in because he's Jewish. Kenny's run over by a bus when they cross the street. He dies with his sins still in his soul. Cartman becomes the corner street preacher. I absolutely love this. And this one also had the backstory of Satan with his ex-lover, Saddam Hussein, and the
Chris.
three-way, with Chris. And and then he asked God for relationship advice. And then this is when Kenny actually didn't die. He was in a different place, but then Cartman says he describes hell to his followers as a place where everyone speaks Spanish, and if you drink the water, you pee blood out of your ass for 7 hours. Just not true. It's kind of true, actually. And then Go God Go duology, season 10, Go God Go, and Go God Go
12.
Oh yeah, 12.
X.
I just
1-1 or II, whatever.
This is when Cartman's actually dying to get his hands on the Nintendo Wii console, and then decides that freezing himself is the right answer. And then there's a whole bunch of atheistic play in the background of those episodes. Then Happy Holograms. Rehash in Happy Holograms. Kyle can't figure out why Ike and his friends want to watch people comment on things going on around them rather than experience it for themselves. And this is where Stan kind of becomes like the old grump. Yeah. And then the hashtag Cartman brah is trending. Still burning over Ike calling him a grandpa. Kyle teams up with some heavy hitters in the entertainment industry to create the most extravagant televised holiday spectacular ever. I like that one. But my favorite ever, Imaginationland Trilogy. Mm-hmm. We all love that one. That one goes without saying. We've talked about that one so long, but it's all based on the beginning that Cartman and who is it that makes the bet?
Cartman and Kyle.
And Kyle make the bet, and basically, if Kyle is wrong, he has to lick Cartman's balls.
Suck I believe Cartman's is the technical.
Balls,
I believe you're
because
correct.
Because Cartman said that he saw the leprechaun, and it goes into this whole thing.
Butters
at the Pentagon.
is the saver.
And Butter saved the day. This one is like the most spectacular animated.
Yeah, and Man Pig makes it.
Oh yeah.
So we talked about that last episode.
It's crazy. I forget how many of there are. Meteor Shower Trilogy, Cat Orgy, Two Guys in a Hot Tub, and Jubilee. While all the adults gather at Mr. Mackey's house to watch Meteor Shower, Shelley, Marsh, babysits for Cartman, invites her much older boyfriend over, Cartman's cat. And then Stan is dragged to Mr. Mackey's meteor shower party and sent down the basement to play with Pip, Butters, and Dougie. This one was kind of forgettable. I actually had to really look into it again.
Well, it's got Pip in it. So
Yeah,
that'll tell you all you
I
need to
hate
know.
Pip.
Everyone hates Pip.
Right? And then Pandemic
This one was
2.
good.
That was good. I
yeah,
like that.
The startling Peruvian flute bands invading the cities around the globe. And then the boys obviously trying to make money over that. Superhero Saga. This is also a fan favorite. The Coon Mysterion Rises franchise prequel. Coon vs. Coon and Friends.
This was another sort of global-esque warming. Remember the whole, we're sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
There was BP oil
Yeah.
just shitting on everyone else.
I love these ones. And I love them in their alter egos. You're Getting Old and Asperger's. Stan celebrating his 10th birthday, only to find out that everyone now looks and sounds like crap.
This was one of my favorites because the first episode was absolute shit.
Literally.
And this was back then when they used to split the season.
Yeah.
So you left on this shitty cliffhanger.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then we come up with Asperger's.
Yeah.
The best episode I've seen in terms of a follow. Like, I was like...
I loved Asperger's. And then Cartoon Wars, part 1
Yeah,
and part 2.
very good.
Yeah. So this was the whole play on Family Guy, and I love these ones as well. Terrence and Phillip were in this. It was great.
Well, if I'm going to pick 3 from everything you said, it's, I don't know about the order, I could think about that, but it's Cartoon Wars, Imaginationland, and Black Friday.
Yeah.
Ooh, Imaginationland, for me, absolutely wonderful. Cartoons. I'll go with the superheroes. 'cause I
That was a
think-
great one. You can't
is
go
a-
wrong with any of these.
Yeah, I feel like I just, I got to be a little bit different.
Yes, don't just say
There's
the same
so
thing.
many good ones, and I had to recall some of them.
Go
I
God
forgot.
Go is Go God Go is
Oh,
funny, just because
yeah.
like I love the whole play on atheism and the fact that like he has to freeze himself to get a wee. Like it's just such a Cartman thing to do.
Yeah.
So those are my picks.
Yep.
All right, well that about does it for us. If you've been listening to us, God bless you.
Yeah. There
God
was
bless
a lot
us,
to get
everyone.
through.
Or as this episode taught us, Satan bless us.
Yeah,
God bless
absolutely.
Satan.
Thoughts and prayers our way because we certainly need them. On behalf of @ChristianDMZ.
That's right. You can find me at Christian DMZ. And this Sunday night, Marvel TV Weekly will be doing an entire show dedicated to the passing of the great Stan Lee. So please check us out.
And at Steps of Raw on Instagram and Twitter, or at Crust on Graham's Titties.
I wish that was true.
All right. I've got some videos to look up later. At Phil Svitek. This is at AfterBuzz TV. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Excelsior!
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.